Chapter 1. How it all started. My fascination with mother's things had started when I was very young, maybe 5 years old. Even at that age, I that knew my attachment to her, and her things, was not appropriate, because I remember that I always tried on her things in secret. Even at that young age, I remember the thrill of doing something that I knew was not permitted. I loved trying on her clothes and makeup. Of course her clothes were too big, and I had no idea what to do with her makeup, but still, it somehow made me feel closer to her. There was a part of me that desperately wanted to share it all with her. In fact, there might have even been a part that wanted to get caught, because I was secretly hoping that she would be happy with my little hobby, flattered really, that her little boy wanted to be just like her. But even at that young age, I was pretty sure that in real life, she would not be happy. So, I did my best not to get caught. And I do not know if I was successful or not, but she never said a word. At some point these feelings receded. I started feeling and acting more like a normal boy. Part of me missed my little secret dress-up games, but part of me was glad that I no longer felt that there was something wrong with me. That all changed when I started reaching puberty at around 12 years old. The feelings I had when I was younger returned, and returned with a vengeance. Now there was a twist, because with puberty, everything had a sexual connotation, and nothing had more of a sexual connotation than the thought of dressing in my mother's bra and panties, and putting on her makeup. I would walk around all day long thinking about it. While most boys my age were hiding Playboys under their beds, I was hiding the beautiful, glossy Estee Lauder mailings my mother got, which showed elegant, gorgeously made-up women. That was what turned me on. Not just what turned me on, but what I aspired to. I would look at those pictures before I went to sleep every night. Then I would turn off my light and I would fantasize that my mother would catch me trying on her things. Karen Graham was the face of Estee Lauder in the 1970s and 80s. Glamorous, sophisticated, elegant, beautiful. Karen was followed by Willow Bay, who to me, embodied how I would look if I could. In my fantasy, I would be sitting at her vanity, trying on her lipstick, and she would walk in on me unexpectedly. But instead of her being angry at me, she would be thrilled, and lovingly and sensually help me become just like her. She would say something like, "Here honey, let me show you how mommy does that." And she would apply it to my lips, making my lips look just like hers. And she would say, "There, so pretty. Do you like being mommy's little girl?" And I would say, "Yes, mommy, I love being your little girl." And she would hold me tight and give me a kiss. And then, like clockwork, I would have my nightly orgasm, and then I would drift off to sleep. This, of course, was in the days before the internet, before I knew that there were lots and lots of boys who were just like me. When I was 12 years old, I honestly thought that maybe I was the only boy in the world who wanted to dress up in his mother's clothes and wear her makeup. And the knowledge that I was so different, so weird, made me feel bad. And the knowledge that I could not share this secret with anyone made me feel even worse. But the feelings were so strong, and the pleasure that I got from my nightly fantasies was so great, that there was nothing to be done about it. I knew I could never stop myself from yielding to temptation when the opportunity presented itself. Chapter 2. Home Alone. And the opportunity did present itself one fine spring day when Mother was out running errands. As soon as I heard the car pull away, I went up to her room. It was what I always did when Mother went out and left me alone. I had done nothing yet but walk into her bedroom, but already the feeling was so intense that it was almost unbearable. My bedroom was not my special safe place. It was her room that I felt that way about. It was almost as if I were entering this forbidden, magical place. The first thing I did was take off all of my clothes. I just felt so vulnerable standing in her bedroom, completely naked. If someone were to walk in, there would be no possible plausible explanation as to why I was standing in my mother's bedroom, completely naked. I knew that if I was going to try any of her underthings on, I would have to be super careful about returning everything exactly as I had found it. I tried so hard to remember the position of every little thing. I opened the drawer containing her panties. Her panties were not the sexy things we see today. They were full and came up high on the hips. But they were black and lacy, and the fact that they were a bit matronly in some ways made them even more exciting. These were not little girl panties, they were for a woman. So, those went on first. The Olga panties that my mother wore. Nothing like what the girls wear today, but sexy in its own way. Next was pantyhose. Every boy who has ever tried his mother's thing knows the incredibly sensuous feel of unrolling a pair of pantyhose over your young legs. The feeling was amazing. I remember mother had a pair of semi-opaque navy hose that I loved to put on. Not only did I love the feel, I loved how sleek they made my legs look. I would look at my legs and pretend they were real girls' legs. I also remember the unbearable anxiety of trying to put that rolled-up pantyhose back the way I had found it, in the little donut shape that mother kept them in her drawers. Did I roll it back up inside out? Was that what it was like when I found it? Aside from the intense fear of somehow getting a run in the hose when I tried them on, trying to replace the pantyhose in exactly the same position was the most nerve-wracking thing. I was sure she would notice, and I would be found out. I would love to know how many mothers have looked in their drawers and saw their pantyhose not quite how they left it. How many mothers just knew in their minds that their boy was trying on their underwear, but could not bring themselves to admit it, or simply could not bring themselves to confront their child. So many boys who thought they were so smart, putting mommy's pantyhose back exactly as they found it, when all along what was going on was that their mothers knew and chose not to say anything, or simply chose not to believe what was right in front of them. I moved to her bra drawer. Mother had a small back, and was not big-busted, and it wasn't too much of a stretch to make believe her bra, with a rolled-up stocking in each cup, actually fit me. It took a while to get the hang of putting on a bra by myself. Like most boys, I started by putting it on with the back in front, and then rotating the whole thing so that the back was then in back. After that came the house dress. These were cute, smocky-type dresses that were easy to put on. I never fully understood the idea of a dress that was made just for the house, but it didn't matter. Mother wore them, and they were dresses, and that was all I needed to know. This was just like the kind of house dress mother wore, and that I put on when trying on her makeup. By the time I put on the house dress, and I sat down in front of her vanity, it was easy enough for me to imagine actually being her. Or imagine having her there with me, treating me just like her teenaged daughter, helping me get dressed and made up. Either way, it felt like every cell in my body was tingling. I was as alive as I had ever been. Mother's vanity was a beautiful old wooden desk. It was in her bedroom. On the top was a lighted makeup mirror, and her most frequently used cosmetics. All the drawers of the desk were filled with her makeup. I opened the thin top drawer in the center of the desk, the one that would have held pencils and things if it were not being used for makeup. There, in that drawer, were 2 lipsticks. Mother's favorite lipstick was Revlon Moondrops. Her usual color was coral. I will never forget that pretty green case. Mother was from an era when women simply did not leave the house without wearing their lipstick. It was just not done. And when we were out to dinner, she would reapply right at the table. Of all the things about Mother that I loved, there was nothing more exciting to me than watching her apply her lipstick. If we were out at a restaurant, halfway through the meal, my mind would start anticipating that moment when she would open her purse and take out her compact and her lipstick and reapply. Looking back on it, much like the pantyhose, it is inconceivable that she could not have known how taken I was by that simple, yet glamorous act of hers. She probably could hear my heart beating as if it were going to burst right through my chest. In my mind, I fantasized that she knew full well what it did to me, and that her putting it on was done especially for me. It was almost as if, right there in public, she was giving me a private performance. And there, right in front of me, were these 2 gorgeous, perfect lipsticks. I will never forget the color. It was gold brick red. The color was a little dressier and redder than her normal coral. Probably something she would wear at night. Revlon Moon Drops Lipstick. A classic, still being sold to this day. I opened up the cap and untwisted the lipstick. It was so pretty. I turned on her makeup mirror. It was one of those where one side was magnified, and you could adjust the lighting to daytime, outside, nighttime, etc. I put it on inside daytime, looked carefully in the mirror, and started applying. The feeling was indescribable. It was as if, as I was applying the lipstick, I was being transformed into another person, the person I wanted to be, my beautiful mother. Yes, by being her, I could somehow have her, all to myself. Freud says that the normal maturation process is for children to recognize that they are separate, discrete individuals, with their own identities. The process where they get to that point is called separation and individuation, but I did not want any separation. I wanted us to be one. So, I put the lipstick on, and blotted on a tissue, just as I had seen her do, and then I reapplied. And I looked in the mirror at lips that did not seem to belong to me. I made a soft kissing expression at the mirror. I was blowing kisses to myself. And then, I had an orgasm. And of course, with the orgasm came the usual sweeping feelings of shame and bewilderment. Oh my God, what was I doing there, in my mother's things? The spell was broken, and I rushed to get out of her things as quickly as I could. But with that new mindset came a new, shocking realization. I had been so taken with my mother's beautiful lipstick, I was so entranced with trying it on, that I did not stop to realize that the lipstick was new. It had never been used. The two brand new identical lipsticks had been sitting there in her drawer. She must have just purchased them. And then panic set in. Because if I put the lipstick back, she would see that it had been used. Would she remember that she had not used it? Of course she would. Otherwise it would probably be in her purse. In fact, now that I thought about it, she probably had bought two for just that purpose, one for her purse and one for her vanity. Now I was in a full panic. My 12-year-old brain, which had not been thinking clearly to begin with, was now not thinking at all. So, I left the new and used one there in her drawer, and I took the one I had just used downstairs with me. And I hid it in my desk drawer. I do not know why I did not throw it out. I probably could not bring myself to do that. It was almost like a sacred object to me. Anyway, into my drawer it went. I know I was acting like a person that wanted to get caught. Glossy makeup flyers hidden under my mattress, leaving mother's underwear drawers in what must have been a state of disarray, and finally, her lipstick hidden in my drawer, in what must have been plain sight. But I really do not believe this was a cry for help, an attempt to get caught. I just think I was a lousy criminal. In that one way, I guess I was like a normal 12-year-old boy. Chapter 3. Caught. 2 days later, I came home from school and mother was waiting for me in the kitchen. There, sitting on the kitchen table, was the Moon Drops lipstick. Oh my God, my pulse was going 100 miles an hour. I could not believe this was happening. Mother said, "Sit down, Sandy." I sat down at the kitchen table. She said to me, "Can you explain to me why my lipstick was in your desk drawer?" I tried to think fast. This was in the days before cordless phones, before a phone in every room. There were 2 phones in the house, one in the kitchen and one in her bedroom. I said that I had wanted to make a phone call and I wanted some privacy, so I went up to her room. And that I must have been absent-mindedly playing with it while I talked on the phone, and that without thinking I must have walked downstairs with it in my hand, and that I was planning on putting it back, but I had not yet gotten around to it. As implausible as this story was, I thought I might have actually had a chance of getting away with it. Except for one thing. Mother said, "Well, Sandy, that's an interesting story. Would you take the lipstick and open it, please?" I was nervous, but I did what she asked. She continued. "Now, when I left the house the other day with that lipstick in my drawer, it was brand new. And used. And the lipstick that I found in your drawer looks like it does right now. Would you say that lipstick looks brand new?" "No, Mother. No, it does not. Now, how do you explain that? I stood there, frozen and mute. Mother said, well, from where I stand, you already look like a liar and a thief. You should cut your losses and start telling me the truth right now. I started crying and stuttering. I don't know why I did it. I just wanted to see what it was like. I swear I will never do it again. Mother said, don't make promises you might not be able to keep. Now, I want to see what you look like. Put it on. I started crying even harder. No, please. Please don't make me do that. Mother was unmoved by my tears. Well, a couple of days ago apparently you couldn't wait to do it. I don't see what's changed. I would think you'd welcome the opportunity to put on your new lipstick. If you know what's good for you, you will put that lipstick on right now, young man. Or should I say, young lady. I stood there, trying to muffle my sobs, but it just resulted in this heaving sound as I tried to catch my breath. I felt like Mother was intentionally trying to humiliate me, and I did not know why. Didn't she know how much I loved her? Didn't she understand that I did all this because of how much I loved her? I picked up the lipstick. Mother handed me her compact. I started putting the lipstick on, with trembling fingers. Mother was watching intently. Well, I hate to say it, but you look cute wearing that lipstick. That is a good color for you. I guess we have the same coloring. The floodgates opened. I was crying uncontrollably. Oh, Mommy, I'm sorry. I just think you are the most beautiful woman in the world. Well, it's like you're my idol. I love you so much. I just wanted to try to look like you. And the tears actually increased. Unless her heart was truly made of stone, there was no way she could not have been touched by her son's weeping, and by her son telling her that all he wanted was to be like her. And she was touched, and she seemed to soften. She came over and hugged me. Okay, sweetie, stop crying. We will figure this out. But more important than the fact that you were wearing lipstick is that you took something that did not belong to you, without permission. And I think you need to learn a lesson so you do not do that again. Now, how much money do you have saved from your newspaper route? I told her I had about $80. Okay, here is what you are going to do. I am going to take you to the drugstore, and you are going to buy me a new lipstick. It is not sanitary for girls to be sharing their makeup. This lipstick is now yours. You can do what you want with it, although I would suggest you not go outside wearing it. I thought that did not sound like such a bad punishment. But then Mother continued. And when you go up to the counter to pay for the lipstick, you are to tell the girl at the register exactly why you are buying it. Do you understand? Yes, Mommy. Okay, let me hear what you are going to say. I am buying this lipstick for my mother with my own money. I am buying it for her because I used hers without asking and then took it. And it's not sanitary to share makeup. Mother said, good, that's very good. I think that will teach you a lesson, and then we can put this behind us, okay? I sobbed an okay. The next day, Mother took me to the drugstore. I was trembling with anxiety. I knew that she felt she had to teach me a lesson, but I was not sure why she felt that the lesson had to entail doing something that would be so humiliating to me. The drugstore was a local, family-owned store. It had been there for as long as I could remember. It had a very extensive cosmetics section. Rows and rows of lipsticks, eyeshadows, and all kits of makeup, in sections by brand. Large color photos of all the glamorous models, all made up. I was mesmerized by those photos. It was almost a reflex for me to imagine myself as one of those models. Whenever I had been in there with Mother, I had wished we could walk through that section, but I had always been too embarrassed to even look in that direction. And now here we were walking in and heading straight to that section. Mother couldn't resist browsing, and I was left standing there awkwardly. Finally she said, okay, honey, go find the right shade. Do you remember the name? Of course I did. I would remember it forever. I walked over to the display case, found the gold brick red, and picked it up. I walked over to the counter in the front of the store. Mother was right behind me, listening to what I had to say. The girl at the counter looked like she was about 16. She was very cute. I handed the girl the lipstick. She looked at me quizzically. Then she tried to make a little joke. "That's a great color for you," she said and giggled. I said, "It's not for me. It's for my mother." I tried on her lipstick without asking, and then I took it. So I have to buy her a new one with my own money. At that I took a wad of crumpled bills out of my pocket and pushed them across the counter. The girl looked a little shocked. Well, okay then. That will be $5.99. And that was it. Mother smiled at the girl as we walked out of the store and into the car. I handed her the lipstick. Tears were rolling down my face. My mother smiled at me and said, "I know that was hard for you, but you did very well. And now we can put it behind us. We have not really talked about why you tried on my lipstick, and whether that was a one-time event or more of a habit for you. And I don't want to embarrass you, but I am happy to talk about it with you. Or if you would rather talk to someone else about it, like a psychologist, we can do that too. But the main thing to me is that you understand that you should not take my things without asking, and you should never lie to me. Do you understand?" I told her I did, and she gave me a kiss. "Good, honey. Now we can put this behind us." I tried really, really hard over the next few weeks to stay out of Mother's things. And mostly I was successful. As long as I had my private time at night, with my Estee Lauder pictures, I could do what I needed to do to keep myself sane. Also, I did own my own lipstick now, in a way, since Mother had told me to keep the one I had used. I didn't put it on again, but I would take it out very night and take the top off, and push up the bottom, and just look at the beautiful orange-red color, and imagine it on my lips. And then I would do my business, and go to sleep. Chapter 4 is Mother's attitude changing? A few weeks later there was another incident. One morning I was getting ready for school and I looked in my underwear drawer to put on my tighty-whitey underwear. There, on top of the pile, was a pair of white cotton panties. Somehow, a pair of Mother's panties had gotten mixed up with my underwear. I stood there, staring at those panties. My heart was beating 1,000,000 times a minute. I wanted more than anything else in the world to put those panties on. I wondered if they were there not by accident. That maybe Mother had put them there on purpose. And if so, why? Was this an offer? Or a test? Oh my God, I was about to go crazy. Finally I thought, this might be the only chance I ever get. I am going to do it. And I slipped them on. I was aroused the entire day, and totally distracted. That night, when I got undressed and ready for bed, I put my clothes in the hamper. And I stood there holding those panties. I could keep them hidden, to myself. If I put them in the hamper, then Mother would know I had worn them. But if I didn't and she found out, I would be doing exactly what she told me never to do, take something of hers without asking. I put them in the hamper. The next morning, I put my regular underwear on and went to school. All day I was even more distracted than the day before, because now I was thinking about what Mother would be thinking when she saw those panties in the hamper with the rest of my clothes. I got home that day and went right to my underwear drawer. I was hoping against hope that there might be another pair of panties in there. But there was nothing in there but my normal boy's underwear. I tried not to be too disappointed. I realized that what I was hoping for was not realistic. And I tried to console myself with the thought that at least I did not get in trouble from wearing Mother's panties. She had probably put them in my drawer by mistake, and when she saw that I wore them, she decided just to not say anything. The next day, when I got home from school, I once again could not resist going to my underwear drawer to see if there was anything in there. And there was. There was another pair of panties. And this time, I thought it could not be an accident. Once again, my heart felt like it was going to burst right through my chest. I said nothing about it the whole evening. I kissed Mother goodnight and went to bed. The next morning, I put on the pair of panties. This was like a dream come true. Even though Mother and I had not said a word to each other, clearly she was indulging my desires. It almost seemed like, as long as we did not talk about it, maybe she was okay with it. I was thrilled beyond belief, and I tried to show her how happy I was by being as helpful as I could be around the house. She did not have to ask me twice to do anything. I kept my room neat, I put the dishes in the dishwasher. I did all of my homework. I did not want her to have any second thoughts. 2 days later, I went into my underwear drawer, and there was a new package of panties. These were not ladies but girls. They were cute hip huggers in pastel colors. Oh my, I could not believe it. Mother had bought me my own panties. I did not know if I should say something or not. She still had not said a word. I had to be careful to remember the days I had gym. I assumed that was why she left my boys' underwear in there. Today was not a gym day, so I put on a pair of the new ones. They were pale yellow, with a little scalloped lace trim and a tiny bow in the front. I did not know what was making me happier, the fact that I had my own panties or the fact that Mother was my silent co-conspirator in my new wardrobe. A couple of weeks went by, and not much happened. I tried as hard as I could to be the best son I possibly could. I wanted Mother to know how much I appreciated what she had done. There were many times when I was tempted to say something to her, but I didn't. Finally, one night, out of the blue, Mother was at the sink rinsing the dishes and putting them in the dishwasher. I was sitting at the kitchen table doing my homework. She turned around to me and said, "How is everything, honey?" I smiled and said, "Everything's great, Mom, thanks." And she said, "How is that new underwear? Okay?" I couldn't believe she finally said something. Of course, she couldn't bring herself to call them panties, but that was okay. I thought I was going to cry again. I got up, went over to her and hugged her. She was wearing long rubber dish gloves, so she could not really hug me back. I said, "Yes, Mother, I love my new underwear. Thank you." She said, "Well, you could probably use a few more pairs." And then she hesitated for a moment and said, "And if there is anything else, you think you need, let me know. Okay?" I was still hugging her. My head was resting on her chest. I said, "Did I mention that I have the best mom in the world?" And now, it was Mother's turn to cry. A few weeks later, it was my 13th birthday. Mother told me to open up the garage. Inside was the new bike I had wanted. I was thrilled. But, well, I had also had this crazy thought, I don't know, I guess because she had gotten me the panties, that maybe there would be something else, something for that other side of me. Oh well, I should not be greedy. Mother had bought me this great new bike, plus, she had given me this amazing gift of the panties. She had not made me feel bad about it, or forced me to go to a shrink, or anything. Part of me wished we could share some of that stuff together, but I guess it still made her a little uncomfortable. I realized that she was doing the best she could on a subject that was probably difficult for her. So, I tried to be thankful for what I had. After dinner, Mother came out with a little birthday cake, just for the two of us. It had candles on it, and she sang happy birthday to me, and then I blew out the candles. She went to get a knife to cut the cake. As she was about to cut, she stopped and said, "Oh, I almost forgot. I got a little something else for you." My heart skipped a beat. I did not want to get my hopes up again, but I couldn't help it. She told me to follow her into her bedroom. There on her bed were a number of gift-wrapped boxes. Mother handed me the first box. I slowly opened it, trying not to tear the wrapping paper. Inside was a book, The Art of Makeup by Kevin O'Coin, and a makeup starter kit. Oh my god, Mother had bought me my own makeup for my birthday. I was so happy I could cry. Mother said, "I know you have been staying out of my things, but I have a feeling that you really wanted this. You know, lots of teenaged girls love makeup but they don't know how to apply it. So I got you this book so you can learn how to do it right. And by the way, this is just for in the house, understand?" I nodded yes. And then she continued, "Well, just because it's for in the house, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have something to wear. Here." And she handed me another box. Inside was a denim mini skirt, a white cotton blouse with an eyelet Peter Pan collar, and a pink cashmere sweater with little pearl buttons. The whole outfit could not have been more girly. Finally, she gave me a pair of white sandals with a little kitten heel. I hugged Mother as if I were never going to let her go. I wore that outfit after school every day for a month. I would come home and take out my Kevin O'Coin makeup book and practice my makeup. Finally, Mother got me another outfit, a pretty jumper. And I did the same with that one. I wore it every day for a month. But puberty was kicking in, and it was getting harder for me to look like a real girl. And speaking of real girls, I was getting interested in them. Yes, my interest was not just in the way of most 13-year-old boys. I also marveled at their clothes and hair and makeup. But I wanted to have a girlfriend, and I so kept that side of me to myself. And one day, Stacy, a girl I had a huge crush on, asked me if I would walk around town with her after school. This meant that I would not be able to go home and put on my skirt and play with my makeup. It was a dilemma. But ultimately, I could not say no to her. And once I skipped that first day, I started skipping more of them. I was still wearing my panties, but I knew that that too might have to change. If I ever got to the point of making out with Stacy, and she reached and felt my underwear, I would be in trouble. So, eventually, I stopped wearing my panties. That was a hard thing to do. I remembered how incredibly nervous and excited I was that first day when I saw those panties in my drawer. And how I was even more excited the next time when I knew that they were not there by accident. But I never threw any of my girl things out. And neither did my mother. By my 14th birthday, I was dating another girl, Michelle, and I had plans to go out with her for my birthday. Mother gave me a birthday card. Inside was $50, so I had some money to take Michelle out with. She also gave me a little wrapped package. I unwrapped it. It was a Revlon Moon Drops lipstick in gold brick red. The birthday card said, "Happy birthday, honey. I am so happy that you are turning into a fine young man." But, well, I never thought I would say this, but sometimes I miss my little girl. I hugged her tight. "Oh, Mommy, sometimes I get so confused." And she said, "That's okay, sweetie, we all do. Everything will work itself out. If you ever need to talk, or want some girl time, I am always here for you." I always stayed close with my mother, but that period in our lives closed. We never discussed it again. But I took tremendous comfort from knowing that she knew about, and even loved, that side of me, and helped me when I needed it, and would always be there for me. What more could any child, son or daughter, want from their mother?